All right, so I'm just getting him some reinforcement so I can get myself organized here. And I have my cone again, and then we're gonna work on that a little bit and the target as well, because he was not struggling, but he found that a little bit harder than the default. But we're gonna work on that a little bit. But I just want to give him just a little bit in his bowl. I'm gonna ask for default here, count down, or I count up. I found the countdown too hard. And then I'll go ahead and reinforce him. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Click, feed, and his head is straight. It's perfect. So I'm queuing here. I'm gonna count, and then I'll click and feed. So yeah, I love this. He's the whole Mustang Maddie positive reinforcement like course was totally worth just this one thing. It's like it's good all the way around, but if all I learned was this, like it was worth it, because this was a giant hole that we were missing, as you could see through all the other videos. We were missing that standing still default behavior for sure. So this is awesome. It's much, 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 much better than we were before, and that's because I'm just gonna go through as we talk, or as I show you my default standing behavior. But as you could see through all like my other videos, he'd learn a lot of things, but I was really stuck on rewarding him for going forward and doing things, and I needed to balance him to just standing still, having his head straight, filling in the gaps. Like I needed to count through the seconds and like slowly build up duration, which we also had a problem with. So this is just like night and day. So he thought about touching the cone, but he didn't. So that's fantastic, because I queued calm default there, which you can see because I'm facing the camera this time. So I'll reward that. I'm queuing again. I'll be counting. Click, and then I won't click. I will just show him the cone. And now I'll click. Good. So the goal here is, so I ask him for calm default. He stands for however long I want. I click, and then I ask him again, and then I ask for the cone. And then I might ask him a couple more times for standing, or I might ask him for the cone again. So he always stands and then does the cone, at least a multiple times of stand. I don't want him to just go for the cone every single time. And he needs to do the standing default in between. And then I feed him back, so he's back in that original position that he was in. I'm queuing default here. I'm going to count and then reward him. And then just kind of based on what he's doing. So I'm going to queue for the cone here. So I'm going to lean forward, point at it, say target, click him when he touches it, and then and he's already going back on his own. You can see he took a step backward there. So I'm queuing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So click. I'm probably counting faster than I was. And then I'll feed him. And then it just kind of depends on where he's at. Like he's pretty balanced here. He's not really trying to do it. So I've been doing like a stand and then a cone touch. So kind of depends on the horse, but he's being pretty good about that. So again, calm default. So I'm just waiting, and then I'll count when his head's straight. So the count is also telling him like, yes, you're doing that, keep doing it longer. So it kind of works as a keep going signal. So I stopped counting when he turned his head there toward me. So I queued calm default, and then instead of reinforcing for standing again, I'll go ahead and let him touch his cone. And then I will feed back, so he's back in that original position. If you don't feed him back, which I didn't really know about before I did this either. What I knew a little bit, but not a lot, just as it pertained to leading. But if I didn't feed him back, he'd be too close to the cone, and it would be a little too tempting for him, and he'd want to touch it again. So that's a big key part of this as well. So I'm just going to give him a jackpot. That was really great. I'm going to go ahead and do the same exact thing on the other side. So I'll just kind of fast forward through that because it's the same exact lesson. Okay, so I'm queuing calm default here. I'll be counting. I'll stop when his head turns toward me, and then I'll click as soon as he straightens out again. I'll feed him back because I want him to go ahead and go forward to the target here. In a second, I'm just going to move the bowl out of the way, ask him to go forward. I'm going to click as he walks to the target, and then I will feed him back a couple steps so that I can present the target again. And I'll ask him to stand here. In default, I'll count, I'll click, and then I'll feed again. So again, I'm just balancing the behavior. So I'm feeding back again because I want him a little bit further back, which is, you can see my body language and my cues here, but it's hard to see how far away he is from the target. So I'm clicking here. That was really nice. It's basically I want him to take about 2 or 3 steps and then 2 or 3 steps back. Yeah, that was really nice. And he knows to follow my hand, so that's really good. And he doesn't get worried about it either. He just follows it. And he knows he's going to get that reinforcement anyways. So then there I just cued standing, and I'll have him back up another step. So I just threw in the standing instead of the targeting every single time, since he does want to stand or tendency to come forward, even though they're like he kind of moved forward on his own. I'm just gonna re-cue here. I'm just gonna say whoops, and then I'll start my counting over again. So I'm gonna reward for the standing still, and I'll take him a couple steps more further back because that's where I'd like him to be. Again, I'm queuing standing. And I've just dropped the target there because I wanted to work on standing since he wanted to walk forward. So um, that's what we'll just end on here, is just the standing still because he wanted to go forward a little bit too much. So again, I'm just balancing out those behaviors.